Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. We have a great show planned. 3 topics we're going to cover today. The first, we're going to talk about why transdermal delivery of CBD is probably a much more appropriate method when dealing with pain relief. During the first hour, we're going to be talking to Chris Zecha from Planet Earth CBD. They are a sponsor of the show, and they have a remarkable product. And I keep it right here because you never know when training is going to get me. Then we're going to talk about a little spoken about fact. I actually talked about this 3 months ago, but it's becoming even more important today. And that is, we cannot stop the spread of COVID-19. We can slow it, but we can't stop it. So is slowing it really a good idea if the inevitable is it has to run through the population for us to develop herd immunity? We're going to talk about that. And then, lo and behold, science is starting to get it about intermittent fasting, about ketones. A study was just published that shows that using a fasting mimicking diet in concert with estrogen blockade therapy may actually help women get better from breast cancer faster and stay better. And this is actually a topic we talked about a long time ago, not for breast cancer, but chemo and keto. And that sounds good, chemo and keto. People who were on the keto diet when they went in for chemotherapy fared much better. The recidivism rate was much lower with the return of the cancers. And they didn't get as sick from the chemotherapy. So information is starting to get out there. We want to bang that drum as much as possible. First, we have to thank our title sponsor, who, without their support of this show, the show wouldn't go on. And that is Legendary Foods. We just did a show with Shannon Penna, who contributes a great deal of her talents in the kitchen to the development of their nut butters. She's also the person who invented the Quest bar that went on to be $1 billion business. She was on the show the other day giving a recipe for low-carb cinnamon rolls that taste just like the decadent cinnamon rolls that you get at the mall, but they have no sugar in them. You could check that out at superhumanradio.net to get the entire recipe and listen to the interview. She is part of the people who created Legendary Foods. Eatlegendary.com is the website. They have amazing products if you want a snack, but you want to avoid sugar and you want to stay low carb, or you want to be keto. Their products all fit that category. If you use the code SHR, you'll get 10% off everything you buy there. So please check them out, show them some love, and let them know you heard about them here on Superhuman Radio. And without further delay, we're joined by Chris Zecha. How you doing, Chris?
Doing well, Carl. How about yourself?
Very good, very good. And this is a very interesting discussion today. It's one that I've anticipated having for a long time, to be honest with you. It probably dates back at least a few years, maybe 4 or 5 years, when I stumbled upon a patent by the CDC for the use of CBD, cannabidiol, for pain management. And it became very obvious to me that this could be a very, very good approach for people who have chronic pain or even periodic pain from training too hard, that sort of thing. But it didn't always play out well because orally delivered CBD has some real challenges. And then there's the whole discussion of like, why do I want to deliver this systemically when it's just my elbow that hurts? So obviously your company, Planet Earth CBD, probably saw this reality and decided to create a transdermal patch. Why did you guys even get into the CBD business anyway? It seems like it's exploding. I mean, every place you go, somebody's selling CBD. Even at, grammar school bake sales, somebody has a bottle of CBD for sale. Why'd you guys even want to throw your hat in this ring?
It's very true. There's a lot of people in the market. So it has to do with a combination of both Jason, my CEO's experiences, as well as myself. Jason has pain and he was taking medications and it just wasn't doing it for him. Myself, I'm a former D1 college athlete and I've sustained a number of injuries throughout my career. And as I'm getting older now, you kind of feel the aches and pains that come along with it through when the weather starts turning, it starts getting a little rainy out, you get those aches and pains and from those old injuries. So Jason and I decided to go ahead and search and try to find the best ingredients out there that we could to relieve the pain that we were feeling. And along our studies, we came across the CBD and we looked for other ingredients out there. And we came up with these great formulas that are through a patch as well as a topical cream. And with those two, Jason and I decided, hey, if we're two people that know each other and we're having these pains, there's got to be a ton of other people out there that are experiencing the same things we are. So we decided to launch Planet Earth CBD.
So there are numerous studies out there that show that topically applied CBD actually not only can make pain disappear quickly, but make it stay away. But the problem with the creams is you put it on, it works for a while, but it doesn't necessarily work long term. And that is kind of like where the transdermal patch really has some advantages, right? Because you have a slow infusion, a slow continuous infusion. In fact, your patch advertises up to 48 hours of delivery on one patch. That's one of the really great things about the patch, isn't it?
It is. So like you were saying, the cream is a temporary relief and the cream is actually great. I use the cream for some of the areas that bend a lot, such as my knee. I had a bad knee injury and the patch is a little hard. You have a very good adhesive, but I'm a little hairy on the leg, so it doesn't stick too well to the hair. But the cream works for that. It's a temporary relief. What you're saying with the patches is absolutely correct. We have all these studies that we've done that give a constant delivery, a targeted delivery for 24 to 48 hours. So you get that constant release and you get the pain relief for that extended period of time.
Now, the patch is pretty big, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I want to say it's almost 3 inches by 3 inches or 4 inches by 4 inches, right?
It's, I believe, 3.5 by 3.5.
Okay, so I was right in the middle.
Yeah, right in the middle.
Yeah, I know. I'm really good at. Well, anyway. So couldn't I cut the patch in fours if I wanted to just put it right here on? Like let's say I had brachial radialis tendonitis, right, from heavy pulling or something like that. Couldn't I cut that patch in four and just stick the smaller piece here and deliver less, but to a smaller concentrated area?
Yeah, absolutely. You could cut the patch up into as many as you want, and you could use it for smaller targeted areas, and you'll still get the same delivery throughout that.
Because a lot of people, like, did you play baseball?
I played soccer.
Okay. So there are certain injuries in certain sports. Like in baseball, it's very common to jam your thumb.
Mm-hmm.
And if you jam your thumb, if you've ever had this type of an injury, this is an injury that does not resolve quickly. It could last 5, 6, 7 months. And every time you even gently tap the thumb, it flares back up. And I almost see like taking the patch and cutting it to just fit over the joint exclusively. So that could be done with this patch, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I wish I would have known that about 6 years ago. I had a skiing incident where I dislocated my thumb, and it would have been great for that. Like you were saying, I had that pain for about 3-4 months after the injury. So it would have been great to have back then.
It's not a pain that resolves quickly. I found that all too often. You can find that out too if you ever throw a punch and you have your thumb out and you land the punch and the thumb absorbs some of the shock of the punch. And then that knuckle will hurt for 5, 6, 7 months at a time. So you said you're talking about hair. So obviously if you're a hairy person and you're not willing to shave the area, the cream is a better alternative, right?
Correct. And we have the cream. It works amazing. I was so shocked when we came up and we were doing all the different lab tests, and kind of tweaking the formula to try to get the best results we could possibly get. And it started off, and the first batch we created was amazing. I was like, this is better than anything I ever tried on the market. And it just kept getting better and better until we came and we perfected it to exactly where it is now. And I like the cream, like I said, for my knee. I use it probably 2 to 3 times a week to help with the knee pain. And the patch I actually use on my lower back. I have a lot of lower back pain. So I do use the patch on my lower back and my upper neck.
So like L4, L5, S1 kind of pain down there?
Yep.
And how did you sustain that type of an injury? What happened?
That I have no idea. I wish I could tell you. It was kind of, I think it's bent over wrong one day and the back started going.
Yeah, no, okay. We have a question that kind of is a good question for us to ask up front too. I can't see this Facebook user's name because your security settings do not allow it to pass through to our video platform. So I would appreciate it if you're still watching live, if you will post your name so I can correctly attribute the question to you. This is a really important question, not only for the CBD category, but we see this in supplement industry as well. We know that there's a lot of people out there who don't meet label claims. They don't put the actual active ingredients that they claim. Now, your patch has what I would consider a whopping dose. 40 milligrams is a fairly high dose of CBD. A lot of orals only deliver 5 milligrams per dose. And so this person is asking, what do you say about products out there that don't have enough active ingredients? First of all, that's the first question. They just don't work, right?
Yeah. So if you're not putting enough active ingredients into a product, you're not going to get the results that you're looking for. Someone could put 5 milligrams, 10 milligrams inside a patch and say, hey, this is the patch that you're getting, but you're not going to get the results. And at Planner CBD, what we decided was, hey, 40 milligrams is where we were feeling that the best results were coming from, and you're getting the best relief that you could possibly get. So we decided to go with 40 milligrams. If someone's not putting enough actives in, you're not going to get the results you're looking for.
How do you know? So how does the consumer know there's really 40 milligrams in your patch? You guys go through third-party testing of your patches, anything like that?
Absolutely. Each of our lots is third-party tested to make sure that we are hitting label claims and that everything is THC free, so that if you are getting drug tested, you're not popping on a test.
Which that's a good point. So this is THC free. There's a movement out there that's claiming that without THC, you just don't see the pain relief that people expect. And it really could be, this is where the water gets murky, right? So if you have a company that's not really putting the active ingredients into the product, regardless of the delivery system, and then some people say it just doesn't work for me, well, they'll blame it on, well, it's because there's no THC in it. We don't put THC in it. Does THC play a role in the analgesic effects of CBD at all?
From the studies I've seen, you are going to get the results from a product that has 0 THC. I felt the effects myself. I use the patches, I use our cream, which are both THC free. But there is stuff out there that's saying that if you do have small amounts of THC inside the product, that it's going to boost the effects of it. I'm not really a big fan of the THC. I know that the FDA is...
you have one of those motion sensing lightsabers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the greatest thing.
I hate when they put those in bathrooms and like you're sitting there and all of a sudden the lights go out. Like, what are you supposed to do? Stand up and dance now?
Yeah. Yeah. Quick story on that. I end up going to my house. I start walking around my house, waving my hand as I walk through the door. My wife's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
But
trying to get the lights on.
Yeah, it's nuts. But the CBD, you do see some studies out there. It's kind of like you said, murky waters. There's studies that show that it does boost the effectiveness of the CBD. There's studies out there showing that it doesn't. So I'm not really sure. I feel the effectiveness without the THC with our 2 products, and we decided to go without that.
Talk about the effectiveness from your standpoint. You've used it. Like where do you use the patch generally, or do you always use the creams only?
I use a combination of both.
Okay, so where do you use the patch for you?
The patch I use on my lower back and up in my neck. Sometimes I'll wake up in the morning, you just sleep wrong, and you get that knot on the side of the neck, and you're getting that throbbing up to your head and you get a headache. For me, I just throw the patch on up here, and maybe 15 minutes, you start feeling the effects, and the headache goes away. My lower back, like I mentioned, it kind of comes and goes. I bent over one day and got the lower back pain. Sometimes I'll be out golfing, I'll swing a little weird or funny, and I get a little bit of back pain, and I just throw the patch on. I keep it in my car, and I just go to my car and just throw it on. For the cream, I use the cream on my knee and my ankle. And the reason I use it on my ankles, as a soccer player, I can't even count the number of injuries I've had on my ankles. But I've split tendons, strained ligaments, stretched ligaments, all that fun stuff. So I kind of use that when the weather's starting to turn. I start feeling that achiness, and I use the cream on my ankles and my knee.
So here's an interesting question. Elisa, who is the show's executive producer, has a friend named Cynthia who asked this question. She couldn't watch live today. Mm-hmm. Does the patch or cream work for plantar fasciitis? Asking for a friend who couldn't listen live. What do you think?
I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not a doctor, so I wouldn't say, it's going to definitely work or not. With the pain, I would say it would probably work and relieve that pain, but I'm not 100% sure. And definitely contact the physician that you use and see what their thoughts are. It would be always my best recommendation for any of that.
Plantar fasciitis is an interesting injury. It's a soft tissue injury of the ligament that runs up and attaches to the gastrocnemius muscle in the calf. And what happens is, classic plantar fasciitis is when you've done things like stretching, let's say you're somebody who likes to get on the stairs and really let your heels sink, or you're somebody who likes to do very, very heavy. This is how I gave it to myself. I was doing extremely heavy toe presses, and I was letting the weight really stretch me at the bottom and then pushing out of it. The soft tissue starts to pull away from the bone. It attaches at the bottom of the heel. So if this is your foot, it runs this way and attaches at the bottom of the heel. The soft tissue starts to pull. The bone grows out to stay attached. So plantar fasciitis actually can be triggered by a single event, but it's already in the making for a period of time. So what ends up happening is these spurs, as what they are, they start to dig into the soft tissue, and they tear the soft tissue, but the soft tissue never completely heals. This is very common with soft tissue. We get tendonitis in our elbow, either whether inside or outside, depending on whether it's pulling or a tennis elbow or whatever. And what happens is these micro tears never completely heal. So every day you re-injure this original injury. And people who have plantar fasciitis will tell you, I'm fine as long as I'm up and moving around. I go to sleep at night, I'm fine. I wake up in the morning and I can hardly walk. And that first half hour, they're literally re-tearing scar tissue that formed overnight. And so this is a very interesting injury. I have to believe, as an analgesic and a pain reliever, the cream would be better than the patch, because you can rub it all over the heel and up the back of the leg and down into not the instep, but the arch and so on. And it'll give you temporary relief. But the only thing that fixes plantar fasciitis is to get the body to pay attention to the original injury longer than just for one day. Like when you sleep, it starts to heal, and then the next day it's not continuing to heal. You're tearing it up again. So you just keep re-injuring yourself day in and day out. The thing that works best is either prolotherapy, where they take a hard object and they literally just kind of really keep re-injuring. You know what prolotherapy is. A lot of athletes use it, right? They'll use it for shoulder problems, and they get in there with things that look like knives and stuff like that. What I found works, when I had it, we happened to take the kids to Florida for spring break, and I was so aggravated waking up every morning with pain in my heel. It was excruciating, that I went down barefoot, walked on the beach, and I went down towards the seashore where the sand was harder. And I started jogging and driving my heel into the sand. like driving it. I was so pissed off. Like I was trying to, I don't know, I was angry at my heel. The next day it was gone. The next day it was completely gone. The sand molded itself to my heel, and it did the same thing that prolotherapy does, where you're kind of re-injuring and getting the body to go, oh, we got to fix that. It's really messed up right now. And that made it go away completely. But I have to believe for temporary relief, I got to believe the cream would work. I really do. You're not fixing the problem. You're just going to get rid of the pain. And you'd have to put it on first thing in the morning before you got out of bed, because that's usually the only time people experience pain with plantar fasciitis is when they've been sitting for a long time and they get out of the car, like maybe they took a 3-4 hour ride, they get out of the car, or they wake up in the morning and they start walking. What about allergic reactions to the patch? Are there any issues with people using them and breaking out in rashes or anything like that?
I haven't had any issues with anyone that's broken out from the patches or the cream.
Okay. We're going to take a quick commercial break. So to the people who are listening, you can actually try this product for as little as $14.99, and you can actually get it shipped to you for free. Each patch contains 40 milligrams of CBD. You'll get relief for up to 48 hours. If it works for you, then you can buy a larger quantity, including up to a box of 7, which is like $64, I think, and it's still free shipping. So it's a good way for you to try it out. Am I right about those numbers? Or did I get that wrong?
That's correct.
Okay. So it's a good way for you to try it and see if it's going to work for you. And, again, don't be afraid to cut the patch in half and use it on a smaller area if you have a small joint that is the problem. You may not need the whole 40 milligrams to do the job, and you can experiment with that. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with more of Superhuman Radio. Stay tuned. You've heard me talk about the chill pill on the show and how effective it is at helping people who suffer from social anxiety, or sometimes when you just want to take the edge off to a long, stressful day. Well, listen to this story from Dylan Goutreau.
Definitely takes anxiety away, which I have a long history of having. Started out at 2 milligrams a day of Xanax. That was at 8 years old. And so I stopped using benzos 3 years ago. Extremely difficult. Yeah, so I spent about 3 years trying to find anything and everything I could that would be healthy for me to help with anxiety. Because I'm talking, full out panic attack. The chill pill was the first thing that I found that actually in the middle of a panic attack I can take, and it definitely subsides.
Go to drseeds.com. That's DRSEEDS.com. Use coupon code SHR and save 20% off your first bottle of the chill pill. Check it out. I promise this is one supplement that delivers. I love beef. And if you love beef, listen up. I've discovered the best tasting beef in the world, and that's not an exaggeration, at Piedmontese.com. The Piedmontese breed is famous from Italy for being lean and unbelievably tender, with half the fat and calories of traditional beef. Even typically tough cuts are tender when it comes from the Piedmontese cows. And for the first time ever, Piedmontese cows are being raised here in the USA. Get 2 free 10-ounce New York strips when you purchase $50 or more at Piedmontese.com with code SHR. Go to Piedmontese.com and use code SHR today. You will never eat any other type of beef ever again.
Planet Earth CBD offers a fast-acting transdermal patch that targets your aches and pains for the relief you need. Not only is the patch uniquely patented, but it is widely believed to provide larger quantities of available cannabinoids to the source of pain than other brands' subpar products. Effective for 24 to 48 hours. Experience the benefits of Planet Earth's high-quality transdermal patch. Manufactured by Next Generation Technology in an FDA-registered facility. This pressure-sensitive adhesive delivers rich hemp extract directly through the skin. Be it a neck ache or a headache, you can count on CBD to take off the edge. Go to planetearthcbd.com today to learn more.
If there is one mineral you should be worried about not getting enough of, it's magnesium. Magnesium is the body's master mineral, powering over 300 critical reactions, including detoxification, fat metabolism, energy, and even digestion is influenced by the presence of magnesium. That's why I'm so excited to tell you about a new magnesium product I've been taking now called Magnesium Breakthrough. It's the ultimate magnesium supplement, easily the best I've ever seen or experienced. With all 7 forms of magnesium, I was able to arrange an amazing deal for my audience, and I guarantee it's the best deal available on this product. Seriously, with volume discounts combined with our custom 10% coupon code SHR10, you can save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough. And I promise that this deal is only available on this specific website, magbreakthrough.com/SHR. You won't find that deal on Amazon or even on the company's own website. Go to magbreakthrough.com/SHR and use code SHR10 to save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough. Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor, strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
This is the Superhuman Channel, where we use oxygen for the power of good.
Welcome back. We're talking with Chris Zecha. We're talking about his company, Planet Earth CBD. They make an amazing transdermal patch and a topical cream, if that's your thing, that will allow you to manage pain very, very simply, and obviously without the real threats that a lot of other analgesics may have, namely opioids and stuff like that people get hooked on. In fact, a lot of the pressure against CBD has come from the pharmaceutical industry because they don't want people to have access to it. You know, the states that have legalized cannabis, they are seeing challenges from big pharma because in those states, opioid prescriptions have dropped by 50%, and that's bad for profits. But the states that don't have legalized cannabis, they have something else available, and that is CBD, cannabidiol, which has very powerful analgesic effects. Is everything that you guys do in targeted towards pain relief or not?
No, so we have the patches and the cream, which is targeted towards pain relief. And then kind of going back to your question earlier about Jason and myself, how we came across this. After we came and developed the pain, I wanted to get into the sports nutrition side of things because it's something I didn't really see out there. So we create a pre-workout, a post-workout that both contain CBD, a protein. We have a sleep formula. It's a soft gel form that my wife actually uses. She's in love with it. She has some trouble sleeping. She takes that before bed. And the great thing about that is with the CBD, with the melatonin, usually if you just take regular melatonin, you wake up, you're very groggy. The CBD actually counteracts the melatonin. You don't get that grogginess feel in the morning. We have gummies, a couple other products as well that are out there. So we kind of expanded off of the pain as well.
What's the magic between using CBD for sleep? If I take CBD right before bed, I find that I can't fall asleep. Is that because I'm taking too large of a dose, or should I be taking it earlier? What's the magic?
You're probably taking too much of a dose. So ours is it's chamomile and melatonin, and those are the driving factors for the sleep aid. The CBD is a small milligram amount, and that's just to help reduce that grogginess in the morning and get the calmness for your body.
And I would imagine that having a mild analgesic effect probably helps a lot of people who suffer from pains as you age that could impair your sleep or your ability to stay in deep sleep.
Correct.
Very nice. You know, this is such a competitive market today. You know, everybody and anybody is trying to get into the CBD business right now. Why has CBD become so popular? What's the mystique about it? What's the sexiness about it? I mean, why is everyone trying to do CBD right now?
So I would say it's the hot thing. You have everyone out there that's looking to reduce pain. Pain management is probably one of the biggest topics. You have a lot of populations in pain, so you have a lot of people looking to reduce that. And then you also have stress and anxiety that people are looking to overcome. And that's something that CBD helps with as well. So those two things, as well as other factors such as, you know, getting to sleep, helping boost your focus for a workout. I would say everyone's just trying to jump in and help out as much as they can.
Have you seen the recent research about the possibility of cannabidiol being used to treat COVID-19 cytokine storm? You know, when you get this virus, it's not the virus that kills you, it's the immune system's overreaction to the virus that causes widespread inflammation that destroys tissue in your body. And there's a lot of things that have the ability to kind of quiet cytokine in the body. And I guess CBD is one of them. Have you seen that study? I'm just curious.
I have not seen that study. I knew about the cytokine, but I did not see the study related to CBD.
Yeah. So what do you know about the cytokine quieting effects of CBD in general?
I do know that CBD helps with inflammation. And like you're saying, the COVID-19 has the huge influx of inflammation. And I'm guessing for the study that the CBD would help reduce that inflammation and give the patient more success rate.
Yeah. Now and I think Elise is trying to get the authors of that study on the show. So since there's this influx of so many companies getting into the CBD space, what makes Planet Earth different? Why should people pay attention to what you guys are doing?
We're very transparent with everything. We're not trying to hide anything like some of the other companies are. We're very open, transparent. We test all of our products for finished product testing. So quality and is very important to us. We qualify all of our raw material suppliers, making sure that they are providing the highest quality ingredients, they're sustainable, and we're making sure throughout the manufacturing process that we're following everything to the T. We are NSF certified, following all good manufacturing practices, and we post all of our certificate of analysis for third-party testing right on the website. So if anyone's interested in, all right, I want to see how this tested out, they could go right online, click the drop down, and they'll see the results. And we test every single lot that we do. Some of the companies out there, you're not going to see that. You're going to kind of be in the dark as far as what you're getting. Is it potent? Is it what you're saying you're getting? Is there THC inside of it? Is there an acceptable amount of THC? Is it over the FDA limit? We're following everything by the book. We're making sure that we're providing high quality ingredients to all of our consumers.
Alicia just pointed out that the researchers on that CBD COVID cytokine storm study coming on the show on August 12th, approximately 20 days from now. So we'll get into that. So if someone is interested in localized pain management, the patch and the cream would be predicted or dictated, I should say. But if they're looking for systemic effects of CBD, you have a protein powder that is it made from hemp?
Yeah, so we have a protein powder. It's a concentrate, whey protein concentrate, whey protein isolate, casein. It's got some hemp in it, and it's a very good formula. And the one thing is it tastes great. It's a vanilla flavor, and that was kind of the factor which led us to do the vanilla protein. Was you take some proteins out there, you get the very protein taste. It doesn't really sit well in the stomach. We added digestive enzymes into it to help break down the stomach, so you're not getting that bloat or the gassiness from it, and it tastes amazing. It's It's a vanilla cake, and it's something out there that will give you that long-term effect that you're looking for.
What is it sweetened with?
It's got sucralose in it, as well as some other natural and artificial flavorings.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So it's not sugar. It's not a sugar-laden protein powder, right?
No. Yeah, it's not up there in the sugars.
Okay. What do you want people to take away from? You guys are a sponsor, and the sponsors make this show possible. And while there's people out there who are going to get, I had a comment from somebody one day. Oh, I thought this show was about science after we did a sponsor spotlight. It's like there's a lot of people out there living with pain. We vet sponsors that have quality products. Dan Kapitsky doesn't just let anybody come on this show, nor do I. And as a result of that, we want to put forth our sponsors' products because we already know that these companies are legit. I had one company that wasn't legit in 14 years, and I kicked them off after the second round of advertising. Told them he couldn't advertise. Well, actually, two. I take that back. One was a protein company. And the reality is that we promote our sponsors because they have products that are solutions for our listeners, but also to let people know that if you do enjoy the other 90% of the content that's about research, like the authors of the study we're going to have on CBD and COVID, patronize the sponsors. So one of the things I always try to tell people is, whenever possible, patronize the sponsors. Try the patch out. Go to Planet Earth. It's planetearthcbd.com, right? Let's see here.
Right.
Planetearthcbd.com and get the patch for $14.99, including shipping. It's a big patch. It's a big patch. It's a patch like if you're doing your whole back, I could see sticking this to your back, right? But if you're not doing your whole back, I could see cutting it in half and doing an elbow with it. It's a whopping dose. 40 milligrams is a whopping dose compared to what's out there today. And give it a try. And if it makes your pain go away, I want to hear from you. I want you to email me at onair@superhumanradio.net, because one of the things I like to do when we have a sponsor that has a product that you can actually tell is working is I like to get the listeners to email me and say, I tried it, it worked, or I tried it, it didn't work. I don't care. I'm not only fishing for one side of the story, but it's a great product. And I know two people who I gave it to that are using it. I don't really have like joint pain where I'm going to use this. If I did, I would slap it on. Like if I injured myself at the gym tomorrow and I had some real muscle soreness, I'd slap this patch on in a second. I wouldn't take acetaminophen. I wouldn't take an NSAID because that actually halts the protein synthetic response from the workout. What good is it? I just threw the whole workout in the garbage because my elbow hurts and I took this pill. I'd rather use something localized that's going to deliver an analgesic effect just to the area, and especially something like this that doesn't inhibit mTOR and the protein synthetic response. But the reality is that our sponsors make the show possible. We bring good products and we ask that you try them. And I want feedback from the audience. So please, onair@superhumanradio.net. I'd love to hear from you. You can get the patch for $14.99 and includes shipping. Give it a try and let me know. You have any new products that you're kind of keeping close to the vest right now that you'll be leading with soon?
As of right now, we are just focusing on the products that we have. We have a different flavor protein in the works. It is a cinnamon flavor. It's a cinnamon ice cream. So that's in the works right now. We're trying to get the flavoring down. I'm not happy with where it is right now as far as the flavoring. We're getting pretty close though. So a new flavor of the protein will be coming out shortly.
Okay. We're going to take one last commercial break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Quest Nutrition makes bars, cookies, chips, and pizzas out of complete dairy-based proteins. Our products minimize net carbs and sugar without sacrificing taste. Each delicious chocolate-flavored chip, Cookie Chunk and Crunchy Crumble is custom made to maintain Quest macros. It's time to enjoy foods that work for you, not against you. It's time to enjoy your Quest.
Unlock your potential with the best cognitive enhancement and anti-aging supplements on the market. PureNootropics.net goes the extra mile for the highest quality ingredients, third-party tested to make sure you only receive the best your money can buy. There's no better choice with their money-back guarantee and free shipping. Try their best-selling DHM. Dihydromyricetin prevents hangovers and helps deliver detox after a night of drinking. Get your DHM and other nootropics and longevity supplements from PureNootropics.net, the purest supplements around.
Over 11 million people in the U.S. have some form of retinal damage, also known as macular degeneration. This is expected to double to nearly 22 million by 2050. Artificial blue light, age, type 2 diabetes are all contributors. Doctors say there's no cure. ARMED is changing that opinion. In one clinical trial, 93% of patients had arrested or improved their condition. 54% reported lessening of glare, reduced dryness, and improved clarity and comfort. And 0% felt worse during treatment and no side effects. Take control of your macular degeneration or keep it from ever occurring. Go to wisechoicemedicine.com and get armed today. You've heard me talk about the chill pill on the show and how effective it is at helping people who suffer from social anxiety, or sometimes when you just want to take the edge off to a long, stressful day. Well, listen to this story from Dylan Goutreau.
Definitely takes anxiety away, which I have a long history of having. Started out at 2 milligrams a day of Xanax. That was at 8 years old. And so I stopped using benzos 3 years ago. Extremely difficult. Yeah, so I spent about 3 years trying to find anything and everything I could that would be healthy for me to help with anxiety. Because I'm talking, full out panic attack. The chill pill was the first thing that I found that actually in the middle of a panic attack I can take, and it definitely subsides.
Go to drseeds.com. That's DRSEEDS.com. Use coupon code SHR and save 20% off your first bottle of the chill pill. Check it out. I promise this is one supplement that delivers. Select Savory Snacks Original Biltong is the healthier alternative to sugar-laden beef jerky. Their sugar-free biltong is seasoned and then air-dried for up to 2 weeks, providing you with one of the most tender and flavorful meat snacks that you've ever had. They also use a fattier cut of beef, which adds to the tenderness and gives their biltong even better flavor. Select Savory Snacks Original Biltong is the perfect snack or travel companion for your busy life. Get a free bottle of Ranch-tastic seasoning with every order. Free shipping on orders of $99 or more. Get yours today at selectsavory.com/SHR. Everybody wants to feel better, be healthier and happier. If you don't sweat profusely on a regular basis, you won't feel as good as you could. Studies have shown the power of infrared sauna. Infrared penetrates 1 to 2 inches into the body. It helps those with back pain, fibromyalgia, arthritis, depression, and anxiety. Patients get relief from infrared sauna. The Good Health Sauna has been shown to be an exercise mimetic, conveying many of the same benefits as cardio. There are a lot of reasons people buy a Good Health Sauna, but the bottom line is you will be a much happier, healthier person by using the Good Health Sauna every day. You'll crave it, you'll love it, and it will be the best purchase you have ever made. Good Health Saunas provide commercial-grade saunas for in-home and commercial use, backed by the best lifetime warranty in the industry. Unmatched customer service and the best financing makes owning one easy and will fit any budget. Go to goodhealthsauna.com/superhumanradio to learn more and save 25% off.
You're listening to the Superhuman Channel. We're ripped and we're ready.
Welcome back. We have a question from a live viewer we're going to get to. Later in the show, I'm going to talk about why we can't wait out COVID-19. And really, is there a better way to handle this? And then a new study that shows that fasting in combination with the estrogen blockade may be a better way to treat breast cancer. We'll talk about that in a little while. I'm talking today with Chris Zecha from planetearthcbd.com about their topical patch. And Joe Mazzarella says, sorry, I came to the podcast late. Would the patch work for arthritic hand pain?
Yes, it would work for that. And kind of like you mentioned earlier, Carl, if you do cut that patch up, you're able to wrap it around some of the bends, kind of like a Band-Aid, and it will help out with that pain. I use it with my grandmother. She was always complaining about the pain in her hand, and she uses it almost every day.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I mean, the patch is huge. I mean, it's 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches. I'm upside down. And so like you could cut it into wider strips like Band-Aids and wrap it around the joints that are causing the problem. And maybe you wrap it around 3 or 4 joints, so you've got like 3 of them on at the same time, each feeding the analgesic and anti-inflammatory effects of the CBD just to those joints. I predict in 10 to 15 minutes your hand won't hurt. I'd like to hear it too, Joe, if you use it. Again, I'm going to put the special back up. This is for my audience. You can go to planetearthcbd.com. Where's that? There it is. Okay, here we go. planetearthcbd.com. It's 40 milligrams of CBD per patch. You get up to 48 hours of relief from it. And starting at $14.99 and free shipping, give it a test drive. See what you find out. I predict that you will see some results from it. And of course, thank you for watching, Joe. He's thanking us. And thank you for watching the show today. I think we've covered the ground pretty good here. I don't think we can, I don't want to belabor this stuff. It's a good product. People should give it a try. And again, I'd like to hear from people who use it. I want to thank you for being here, Chris. I know you kind of had to fall in last minute to do the show today. You weren't really the guy that was supposed to do it. We'll have Jason on, I'm sure, when he's back in town.
Yep. Thank you for your time, Carl.
Yeah, take care of yourself, and we'll talk again soon. Okay. All right, we're going to take a little break here in a minute, but before we do that, I want to talk about a couple things. As long as we're talking about sponsors, number one, we have a product called DHM. I did a show about it a month or so ago. It's the hangover drug, and it works. So most of you know that I like to have a drink from time to time. Not often, but when I do drink, I drink. It's not just one. I'm a 3 or 4 Negroni kind of guy. They're very powerful drinks. We went to a party at a friend's house recently, and I started drinking tequila. Don't ask me why. It was a good quality tequila, and I had like a little bit of a unsweetened margarita mix. I would put a little bit in the glass, some ice, and then I'd pour the tequila in. And we estimate that I drank 16 ounces of tequila. I took 1 DHM when we got there, and I took 1 when we got home before I went to bed. And the next morning I woke up and I was astonished because that much tequila would make me feel pretty horrible for a day or two. I went to the gym the next morning. I felt great. This stuff is real. If you're like me and you want to enjoy life, and for you, part of the joy of life is maybe having a glass of wine or 2 on a Friday or Saturday night with your wife, or going out with friends and laughing and throwing down some beers or a couple hard mixed drinks, and you don't want to feel the toxic effects of that. In fact, I wish the company that is now offering it on our show, which is, let me see here, Pure Nootropics. I wish somebody would do some research. We know that alcohol can actually blunt the protein synthetic response to weight training. I would love to find out if taking DHM, so you train that morning, you drink that evening, you take your DHM, you bookend it, right? You take it before you drink, and then when you come home, if you still have the same protein synthetic response to the workout. I have a funny feeling it's going to be yes, that you will. But this stuff is legit. If you're like me and you like to have a drink and you just don't want to feel like crap for 2 days afterwards, you got to get a bottle of the DHM from Pure Nootropics. They're a sponsor. There's banner ads on the website for that. And I promise you that if you use it, you will thank me because you won't feel like crap the day after being out drinking. It's really, really good stuff. The other thing I want to bring to your attention is we have a sauna sponsor for the first time. I've been trying to get a sauna sponsor forever. Dan Kapitsky found one. I have a sauna in my home, and right now the sauna at the gym is closed, but my routine usually is after I train, every time I train, I get in the sauna, I get a good sweat going, I jump in an ice cold shower, and I head out. Sauna is an amazing thing. It's actually an exercise mimetic. Sitting in the sauna conveys a lot of the same benefits as doing cardio. to the heart, cardiovascular system, to the blood vessels, and so on. Sweating is an important part of detoxification. The benefits of sauna have been around for 1,000 years. In fact, when I visited Israel 14, 15, 16 years ago, when I visited Israel 16 years ago, we went to Masada, which is the mountaintop where the whole the whole Hanukkah thing started. The Maccabees were the zealots. They were fighting against King Herod. King Herod wanted to kill them because they followed their religion and not him. And so King Herod had built this fortress on this mountaintop called Masada. And it had everything he needed because he was always paranoid that somebody was going to try to kill him someday, including his son. He had his own son killed because he thought his son was going to kill him to take over his kingdom. Well, the Maccabees, they went to Masada and they used his fortress to protect themselves from him and the Romans. And they lived up there for a long time. And then eventually they did get captured and killed. But the reality is that King Herod had what was tantamount to a sauna/steam room built thousands of years ago on that mountaintop. I saw it. So they had a room, and the room had a second wall, and the second wall was wide. There was a lot of space, and they had people in there with big pots of water that they were boiling, and there were holes in the wall so that the steam could flow in. The whole room was beautiful tile work. I mean, the tile work they did back then, thousands of years ago, was amazing. So we have known about the benefits of extreme heat and exposing the body to extreme heat for thousands of years, that it's healthy. Well, now with COVID-19, nobody can use the saunas because they're all at the gyms, the health spas, and they've got those closed. Well, right now, Good Health Sauna is offering to my audience not only 25% off, but 18 months interest-free financing. You can put an infrared sauna that sits 2, 4, even 6 people in your home and have it in there by next week. If you go to the website, superhumanradio.net, and click any of the podcast pages, you'll see banner ads for Good Health Sauna. Or you can go to goodhealthsauna.com. I believe that's their website. I wasn't prepared to talk about this today, but just go to superhumanradio.net and look for their banner ad there. That's probably the best way. But my audience has an exclusive offer not available anywhere else in the country. 25% off their entire inventory plus 18 months interest-free financing. This is amazing. If you have a home gym now and you want to top it off with something that will reward you every single day of your life moving forward, get yourself a Good Health Sauna now. You will thank me for it. You will thank me for it. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I'm going to talk about the misguided approach to trying to slow the spread of COVID-19. Stay with me. I think you're going to think I'm crazy, but just hear me out. You'll find out where I'm going. Stay tuned. Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement. Are you still on the fence about body protection complex BPC Oral from drseeds.com? Listen to Maggie Kuhn, one of the owners of the C-Bus Lifting Company gym in Columbus, Ohio.
I had been having some nagging tendon issues that weren't injuries, just things that were annoying. You know, I'm 58 years old, so just older tendon kind of issues. For us powerlifters, you know, we really don't stop training when we have just nagging issues. We just kind of keep pushing through. And I started the BPC. What I noticed was I was doing doing some heavy tricep stuff that would have killed me before when I had an elbow problem, and I was able to do those with literally no pain at all.
Go to drseeds.com, DRSEEDS.com. Use coupon code SHR and save 20% off your bottle of BPC Body Protection Complex today. Chronic stress leaves us tired, distracted, and physically vulnerable. Apollo Neuro is here to help you take control. Apollo Neuro is a new wearable that trains your nervous system to be more resilient to stress. Apollo's gentle vibrations use your sense of touch to help you recover from stress, going from fight or flight to rest and digest so you can relax, get to sleep, focus, and stay healthy. Developed by physicians and neuroscientists, Apollo Neuro has been tested in multiple clinical trials and is proven to improve heart rate variability, the key biometric of stress. Special offer for friends of Superhuman Radio. Try Apollo Neuro today and get 15% off your purchase at apolloneuro.com/superhuman. That's APOLLONEURO.com/superhuman. There's no denying that a low-carb, low-sugar keto lifestyle has been shown to reverse chronic inflammation and normalize insulin sensitivity. But we all want a sweet snack from time to time. Well, no matter what you're looking for, you'll find it at Perfect Keto. Bars, cookies, exogenous ketones, keto-friendly performance enhancers, it's all in one place. I love their chocolate quad ketone salts that balance all 4 minerals. And try their keto bars for unique taste satisfaction, all the while knowing you're staying in your keto lifestyle lane. Go to perfectketo.com/superhuman to save 20% off your purchase today. I love beef. And if you love beef, listen up. I've discovered the best tasting beef in the world, and that's not an exaggeration, at Piedmontese.com. The Piedmontese breed is famous from Italy for being lean and unbelievably tender with half the fat and calories of traditional beef. Even typically tough cuts are tender when it comes from the Piedmontese cows. And for the first time ever, Piedmontese cows are being raised here in the USA. Get 2 free 10-ounce New York strips with code SHR. Go to PIEDMONTESE.com and use code SHR today. You will never eat any other type of beef ever again.
Planet Earth CBD offers a fast-acting transdermal patch that targets your aches and pains for the relief you need. Not only is the patch uniquely patented, but it is widely believed to provide larger quantities of available cannabinoids to the source of pain than other brands' subpar products. Effective for 24 to 48 hours. Experience the benefits of Planet Earth's high-quality transdermal patch. Manufactured by Next Generation Technology in an FDA-registered facility. This pressure-sensitive adhesive delivers rich hemp extract directly through the skin. Be it a neck ache or a headache, you can count on CBD to take off the edge. Go to planetearthcbd.com today to learn more.
This is the Superhuman Channel, doing reps with the weight of the world.
Welcome back. Okay. I'm going to be very direct about this. So, we can't stop COVID-19. We can only slow its spread. And that's why you never ever hear lawmakers, governors, mayors say, well, if we just lock down long enough, it'll go away on its own. It won't. They know that. They absolutely know that. Every virologist knows that. And I've talked about this months ago, and I predict that people are going to start getting wise now. Originally, we acted the way we did with the shutdown because we were afraid that this virus had such a high mortality rate that hospitals would be overwhelmed. We also thought that everybody's going to need a respirator. They didn't need that either. But we've been wrong about a lot of things about this virus. But here's one thing we're not wrong about. You cannot wait this virus, or any virus for that matter, out. You can't. It must go through the population. It will lay dormant in people, and it will start to transmit again when people start to interact. We know this because we've been through this already. We went through this in 1918, 1919. The Spanish flu killed 685,000 Americans over the course of 3 waves. The initial infection, the second wave, and the third wave, which took 2 years. And we didn't lock the country down. We definitely social distanced, and people did wear masks. More people were wearing masks back then. Some schools closed, some schools didn't. But there was never this discussion about we're just going to wait it out. No one ever thought that. And as a result of that, today, we don't have a Spanish flu any longer, and we never developed a Spanish flu vaccine. Let that sink in. The deadliest virus to come through the United States was the Spanish flu. It killed almost 750,000 people. It came in an initial infection phase and 2 subsequent waves, so 3 waves altogether. We social distanced and we wore masks, but virtually not everything was shut down like we have today. We didn't have governors telling us stay in your house. When you juxtapose this to what Sweden did, you understand why Sweden is doing better than places like New York, which, by the way, this nonsense that New York is a model for the way we handled COVID-19 is a lie. You know that. 32,000 deaths. They have more deaths than Italy. How could they be the model? So in other words, having all those deaths is a good thing, but I'm not going to get into that. I just want to talk about facts. You know, everything looking forward is a guess. Everything looking back, we know for sure. So we never developed a vaccine for Spanish flu. It worked its way through our population, as all viruses have to do. And now it's gone. We don't worry about it anymore. So this idea that politicians are going to slow the spread. So it's kind of like if you have a job to do and it's going to take you 10 days working 8 hours a day, and you decide instead of working 8 hours a day for 10 days, I'm just going to work 1 hour a day for 80 days. You're going to stretch it out, but you could get it all done in 10 days, and it's inevitable. You have to finish it. It's like not an option not to finish it. So why would you want to slow down the process and make it take 80 days to finish this job that must be done, that its resolution is inevitable, when you could do it all in 10 days and get past it and move on? This is the real question today that I'm asking. I'm asking you. I'm asking politicians. We all know that this virus must run its course. No one disagrees with this. No one is saying if we just lock down for 2 more weeks, like hard lockdown, nobody leaves their house, this virus will die on its own and just go away. Fauci's not saying that. Bricks is not saying that. What's his name? The governor of California. They're all saying we need to slow the spread. But if it's inevitable that this virus must run through our population in order for us to have to not need a vaccine and for it to resolve, why do we want to slow the spread? Why are we dragging out the inevitable? Maybe let's keep all the high-risk people at home, right? If you have comorbidities, it seems to prey on the elderly. So if you're 70 years old plus, or if you're in your 40s and 50s, you're really, really unhealthy, you need to stay in your house. You need to do the things to keep yourself isolated from it. More and more people are finding out that they had the virus and they had no symptoms. We're testing 700,000 people a day, and people are going, oh my God, everybody's got it. But the death rate is going down daily. And when you look at the death rate, it's still stratified. More old people are dying. So maybe we take the high-risk population. We say to them, look, you need to stay in your house. And by the way, here's a prescription for a Z-Pack. 3 refills. We're going to give you a prescription for Z-Pack, and here's 2 more refills. Because all you really need is zithromycin to beat this. I know more people who caught it, got a Z-Pack. My good friend Johnny, his mother-in-law is 100 years old. He finally took her back to New York because they were living with him in Pennsylvania and her daughter. And she finally wanted to go back to her home in New York. He drove her home, and while he was out there, he went shopping for her. And while he went shopping for her, he got sick. He came home. He was horrible. He said, I couldn't talk. I couldn't breathe. He said, I felt like an elephant was sitting on my chest. And I told his brother, tell him to get a Z-Pack. He called his doctor, got the Z-Pack. 3 days later, he was better. So maybe the strategy is this. maybe we stop fooling ourselves and thinking we can beat this virus, because we can't. And maybe we stop stretching out the inevitable. And instead of stretching it out and making it last the next 2 years, maybe we speed it up and we say, okay, healthy people, people who were willing to go out and risk their lives, go do your thing. The faster it runs through the population, the faster this will all be behind us. Those of you who are very, very sick, you're a high probability to die from this. You stay home. You don't go to work. The government will help you. Not instead of the whole country. Instead of us giving money to people who just don't want to work, we give people money that can't work. And then we make sure that there's more than enough Z-Packs to go around. So as soon as somebody gets symptoms, you give them a Z-Pack, boom, it's over. They develop antibodies. They're all better. They never get it again. That's the way to keep people from dying. You're not going to keep people from dying by keeping them locked up. If anything we learned, we know that the people who are locked up have the virus to a greater degree. We saw that in New York. So maybe the answer to all of this is, instead of this idiocy, this ridiculous idea of let's just stretch out the inevitable. Let's make something that could potentially take another year, take 4 years. Because think about it. It took 2 years, or a year and a half, year and 3/4, for the Spanish flu to completely work through our population, until Spanish flu wasn't a worry any longer and we never had to develop a vaccine. But if we keep locking down and opening up slightly and then locking down and opening, this is going to take 5 years to get through. And ultimately, I challenge anybody to tell me, and I said this on Facebook the other day, if I have a politician who says, well, if we just lock down for 2 weeks solid, nobody goes anywhere, we shut everything down, we shut businesses down, we shut churches down, we go back to where we were, and in 2 weeks, this will be done. I would say to that politician, okay, we'll do what you want us to do. But here's the deal. If in 2 weeks, when we reopen the country, the virus starts to spread again, then I want you to take all of the assets of you, your family, every one of your family members, kids, grandkids, all of their assets, now and future assets, and disperse them amongst the population so that your generations moving forward live in abject poverty forever. You'll see how fast they'll go, oh, wait a minute. I don't know if I may be wrong. Yeah, you may be wrong. Exactly. See, lawmakers and politicians are talking about things like absolutes. Well, if we just did this, and if we started holding people accountable, not for their good intentions, but for the outcome of their decisions, you would see how quickly these people would shut the F up. If you told Fauci, hey, you get this wrong one more time, we're going to put you in jail for 10 years. Let's do it like the Chinese do, right? When you do something wrong in China, they kill you. Okay, let's not do that. Let's just put them in jail. We say, okay, Dr. Fauci, lay out the details moving forward. What can we do? And how many people will we save? And now we're going to follow. We wrote everything. We have video of you saying this. We're going to follow this. And if this doesn't happen, we're going to put you in jail for 50 years or the rest of your natural life. You'll see how quickly they change their mind. You'll see how quickly they'll go, maybe I don't think that this is a good idea because I'll lose everything. So let's see something. So David Pasco says, I think it's crazy to send kids back to school. Sure, the kids will be fine. But what about the elderly teachers? And they will bring the virus home to their parents and grandparents and neighbors. I do agree with this. I kind of feel like the children may not get sick, but they may bring the virus home to their family. But if their family is willing to take that risk, then let them take that risk, Dave. Because that's my point here. Sweden didn't mandate anything. They let people do what they thought they would do. They let people do what they were willing, what risks they were willing to accept. That's the problem here. We have politicians, we have lawmakers, we have experts telling us this is the way it is, and it's never that way. It hasn't been that way so far. We haven't done anything correct about this virus so far. Nothing. So I get what you're saying. The children actually become seeds They bring the virus home. They don't get sick, but the people they come in contact with get sick. So I do agree with you. But at the same time, I say let people make their own choices. That's all. If a teacher says, I'm not willing to teach because I'm afraid of getting sick, okay, great. You stay home. That's it. If a family says, well, my elderly mother lives with us, so I don't want my kid going to school because I'm not worried about me and my husband, but I'm worried about my grandmother, great. Then your kid doesn't go back to school. But stop forcing everybody to take the necessary steps that only sick and high-risk people should be taking. That's not how life works. That's just not. And we're being forced. Here, this is why homeschooling is going to really take off. No one is going to want to send it. And that's great. I think that's great. I think that if you're a parent and you go, you know what, I'm not willing to take this risk, I'm going to homeschool my kids, great. But here's the problem, Dave. Here's the problem. Most people today are two-income families. You know, and when I was a young man, my mother didn't work. That generation, the man went off and everybody could live on one person's salary. You know, you have a lot of women out there who don't feel the way you do. You have a lot of women out there saying, how am I going to survive if I don't go back to work? Never mind two-income families. What about the single-parent family? I can't work anymore because I have to homeschool my kid. I mean, again, I come back to let people make the choices they're comfortable living with the repercussions of. And let's stop acting like we have all the answers. And when I say we, I don't mean you and me, Dave. I mean the politicians who are telling us erroneous information like they know what to do here. Because I'm telling you, Dave, and everybody else out there, you are not going to stop this virus from doing what it is genetically designed to do, like all viruses, and that is pass through our population until we develop herd immunity. You're not. I don't care if you shut the country down for 6 months. It's just going to take longer for it to do what it wants to do. So let's rip the Band-Aid off. Let the high-risk people make the choices that they want. Hey, I'm not going to send my kids. God bless you. That's good. You have a way to figure that out and pay your bills still? Good. You do it. The people who say, no, I want to send my kids to school, send them to school. The teachers who say, I'm not worried about getting sick. I had it already. I have the antibody, whatever. They go and teach the kids. This is my point. Because the sooner we start living like that, the faster this virus will make its way through our population. We will develop herd immunity and we will be done with it. And we won't need a vaccine. Not at all. Because we learned that from the Spanish flu. No one developed a vaccine for the Spanish flu. It killed almost 750,000 Americans in just under 2 years. And now it's gone. Nobody worries about it anymore. So what we're doing right now is just nonsense. And it's the politicians that are making us do it. It's unnecessary. And feel free to email me at onair@supremeradio.net if you have a different opinion, because I'll have you on the show if you can prove to me that I'm wrong. Because I've talked to virologists already about this. They don't want to come out and say anything because they don't want to be jumped on. They don't want to be attacked by the woke crowd. But they say the same thing. Dave says, I totally agree with you. Not everyone can homeschool. So it's between risking grandma and sending the kids to school when a better alternative would be to continue. I like video schooling. That works. I like that. Or maybe you live in a neighborhood where all the moms get together and one mom homeschools 1 week and the other mom homeschools the other week, and they rotate so they can go to work. Because see, we can't. Part of the problem we're having right now is that now the suicide rates are rising. And I predicted this on my show several months ago. You know, there's an accepted statistics that's accepted by the government, accepted by Hollywood, accepted by liberals, accepted by conservatives, that for every 1% rise in unemployment, that equals 40,000 deaths. They know this. Those deaths come from suicide. They come from accidents. They come from not affording to go to the doctors and find out you had cancer when it was time to catch it. So we know that right now, just because of the 13% rise in unemployment that we've seen since COVID, that there's going to be over 400,000 deaths from the the impact on the economy. And so that's going to be more than COVID is going to kill. So, this is a tough pill to swallow. It's hard to tell people. Like, I talked to my buddy Joey this morning about this. We were talking about this, and that's why I felt like I wanted to discuss it. He says, yeah, but what about all those old people that have to die? They don't have to. They stay locked down. They don't have to. They don't go out shopping. They call the grocery store and they have their food delivered. They stay in. They wear masks and have a prescription for azithromycin on hand with 2 or 3 refills automatically. So as soon as they get symptoms, they pop them. Because the azithromycin cures everybody that takes it. Everybody. Without the hydroxychloroquine and without all the other stuff. But we need to get past this. We need to get it over with. Where, you remember it when you were a kid and you had a report to do and your teacher gave you the homework on Friday, and instead of doing it Friday night, you waited and you said, I'll do it Saturday. And then Saturday rolled around and now it's Sunday. Now it's Sunday night and you're an hour and a half away from bedtime and you have to do a report that you knew you had to do. So now you're going to do a really crappy job on the report. You're going to get a horrible grade when you actually planned to fail because you ignored the fact that you had plenty of time to do it and get it over with. It's the same thing here. We need to get it over with. We need to have this virus run through the population, develop herd immunity, and move on. By the way, I love your show. Thank you. And thank you for watching, really. Thanks so much for doing what you do. Although I have to say that I love your superhuman content much more than the politics. This isn't politics. I don't know why people think this is politics. This is about living and dying. The only reason why it's about politics, Dave, is because a group out there made this political. I'm talking about a virus. I'm talking about physiology. I'm talking about biology. I'm talking about the inevitability of getting sick and how we can live through it. I'm sorry that you see it as political, but that's not me. It's not because of me. It's because we have polarized this discussion, which should only be about what's the best thing for people. If it wasn't political, Dave, somebody up in a pulpit somewhere would say, well, it's inevitable. They'd be saying what I'm saying. Well, it's inevitable. This has to go through the population. Look at the Spanish flu. But the problem is it's become politicized. And that's really sad because that's why more people are going to die unnecessarily, because it's become politicized. I'm not talking politics here. I'm talking facts, critical thinking, deductive reasoning, and what's going to get us out of this jam. And what's going to get us out of this jam is that we get through it faster. Let it run its course, and people will be better off for it. We're going to take one last commercial break. I want to talk about a study that's very fascinating, where they combined fasting mimicking diet with the estrogen blockade therapy for women with breast cancer. And Dave, thank you for participating. Really, I'm glad that you posted these things because it helps me too. Because it's not all black and white with me. It never is. Nothing in life is. But stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of Superhuman Radio, and let's talk about this study. I think it's very promising. Stay tuned. Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000, or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ad today. Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor? Strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon. Chronic stress leaves us tired, distracted, and physically vulnerable. Apollo Neuro is here to help you take control. Apollo Neuro is a new wearable that trains your nervous system to be more resilient to stress. Apollo's gentle vibrations use your sense of touch to help you recover from stress, going from fight or flight to rest and digest so you can relax, get to sleep, focus, and stay healthy. Developed by physicians and neuroscientists, Apollo Neuro has been tested in multiple clinical trials and is proven to improve heart rate variability, the key biometric of stress. Special offer for friends of Superhuman Radio. Try Apollo Neuro today and get 15% off your purchase at apolloneuro.com/superhuman. That's APOLLONEURO.com/superhuman. Everybody wants to feel better, be healthier, and happier. If you don't sweat profusely on a regular basis, you won't feel as good as you could. Studies have shown the power of infrared sauna. Infrared penetrates 1 to 2 inches into the body. It helps those with back pain, fibromyalgia, arthritis, depression, and anxiety. Patients get relief from infrared sauna. The Good Health Sauna has been shown to be an exercise mimetic, conveying many of the same benefits as cardio. There are a lot of reasons people buy a Good Health Sauna, but the bottom line is you will be a much happier, healthier person by using the Good Health Sauna every day. You'll crave it, you'll love it, and it will be the best purchase you have ever made. Good Health Saunas provide commercial-grade saunas for in-home and commercial use, backed by the best lifetime warranty in the industry. Unmatched customer service and the best financing makes owning one easy and will fit any budget. Go to goodhealthsauna.com/superhumanradio to learn more and save 25% off. I love beef, and if you love beef, listen up. I've discovered the best tasting beef in the world, and that's not an exaggeration, at Piedmontese.com. The Piedmontese breed is famous from Italy for being lean and unbelievably tender with half the fat and calories of traditional beef. Even typically tough cuts are tender when it comes from the Piedmontese cows. And for the first time ever, Piedmontese cows are being raised here in the USA. Get 2 free 10-ounce New York strips when you purchase $50 or more at Piedmontese.com with code SHR. Go to PIEDMONTESE.com and use code SHR today. You will never eat any other type of beef ever again.
Planet Earth CBD offers a fast-acting transdermal patch that targets your aches and pains for the relief you need. Not only is the patch uniquely patented, but it is widely believed to provide larger quantities of available cannabinoids to the source of pain than other brands' subpar products. Effective for 24 to 48 hours. Experience the benefits of Planet Earth's high-quality transdermal patch. Manufactured by Next Generation Technology in an FDA-registered facility. This pressure-sensitive adhesive delivers rich hemp extract directly through the skin. Be it a neck ache or a headache, you can count on CBD to take off the edge. Go to planetearthcbd.com today to learn more.
Spit that out right now. This is the Superhuman Channel.
Welcome back. So a team of USC-led international scientists found that it's a 1-2 punch using the fasting diet along with hormone therapy to enhance the effects of breast cancer treatment in 2 small clinical human trials. Very promising. When I had Dr. Thomas Seyfried on this show, who wrote the book Cancer as a Metabolic Disorder, the first time, he was on the show twice. When he was on the first time, I asked him, I said, Dr. Seyfried, if you were diagnosed with cancer tomorrow, what would you do? And without any hesitation at all, he said, well, the first thing I do is I'd fast for 3 days. That's the first thing he said. You know, the keto diet has reversed cancer in a lot of instances. It's probably not the only thing. There's some cancers out there that don't respond well to the keto diet because there are now some cancers. Cancer is an evolutionary cell, by the way. Cancer is probably the most evolutionarily adapted cell in our body. It's designed to take all the resources for itself. What triggers it clearly is mitochondrial changes. The mitochondria undergoes some sort of defect that switches it to anaerobic glycolysis. And once it makes that switch, then the cell becomes a hoard or hoarder of everything that's good for healthy cells. This is why I have always said it's misguided to say, well, IGF-1 helps cancer cells grow. Well, IGF-1 helps healthy cells grow. Or, oxygen is a driver of certain cancers. Well, oxygen's a driver of healthy cells. Everything that's good for like even when telomerase was all the rage, right? Oh, we're going to stop aging by just making telomeres longer, increasing telomerase production. That failed miserably, by the way. We know that cancer cells produce their own telomerase. And so they actually keep repairing their telomeres so that they can keep reproducing cells. So everything that is good for healthy cells is triple good for cancer cells. So choking something off from a cancer cell quite often has collateral damage to the rest of the tissue in the body. Look at chemotherapy. You have to poison the entire body to kill the cancer. The brain, the kidneys, the heart, everything gets poisoned to kill this cancer over here, wherever it is. That's why I've always said that chemotherapy is akin to burning down the entire house because you have a stain on the carpet. Really. I mean, it destroys everything in the body, but the body bounces back and it's resilient and the cancer doesn't. And so that's why it's still used today in some cases, not always. Some cases, the body doesn't bounce back. In the case of cisplatin, which is a very popular chemotherapy, it destroys the kidneys. A lot of people who undergo multiple rounds of cisplatin therapy for cancer, they usually die years later from some sort of kidney disorder. So the cancer didn't kill you, but the cancer treatment did, right? Okay. So what they basically found out was that people being on a fasting mimicking diet, which is 600 calories a day or less, and I'm sure that all of these things would be achieved if people just used intermittent fasting or time-restricted feeding. But being on a fasting mimicking diet reduced blood insulin. Insulin is a very anabolic hormone. And if it's anabolic to good tissue, it's anabolic to cancer tissue, which also reduce insulin-like growth factor, IGF-1. And interesting enough, it reduced leptin, which is a driver of satiety and hunger and is blamed for people becoming fatter and fatter. And obesity is closely tied to the development of cancer. And type 2 diabetes is tied to cancer. And there you go, that reduces insulin. So a fasting mimicking diet, which is basically a very, very restrictive, a calorically restrictive 600 calories a day or less, was able to, when used with the traditional cancer therapies, like very powerful aromatase inhibitors, was more successful at curing breast cancer and keeping the recidivism rate or the reoccurrence from occurring. And so this new study suggests that a fasting mimicking diet together with endocrine therapy for breast cancer has the potential to not only shrink tumors, but also reverse resistant tumors. That was done in mice, that particular portion of it. These are several studies taken together. Now, what do we know about the ketogenic diet? One of the things I learned over at Quest when I was working with Ron Penna over there, who is still deeply involved in cancer research, by the way. He really has made it his mission to cure cancer. And I know people are going to laugh at that, but he's brilliant and he's serious. And he's funding his own cancer therapy. But we know that when I worked with them and Victoria Adelis, when she was working in the keto side of Quest, when they had the Keto Pet Sanctuary where they were working with dogs with cancer, and a lot of that research bled over to humans. They were actually working with Cedars-Sinai, and they were allowing Cedars-Sinai was allowing people who didn't want the standard of care. They didn't want chemo. They didn't want radiation. They wanted something else. They would send them over to Victoria Adelis, and Victoria would put them on a ketogenic diet. And we learned from her work there and from Quest's research that being in ketosis plus having a slight caloric deficit, right, actually halted metastasis. It halted these small cells of cancer from leaving a solid tumor, floating around in your blood and taking up space in your liver or your kidneys or your lungs. So we know that caloric restriction and being in ketosis, and if you're really in a calorically restricted state, chances are you're producing some amount of ketones. You're not chasing ketones. It's not like, oh, I want my ketone levels to be 2.2 millimoles. Maybe your ketones are 0.8 throughout the day. But we know that in people that already were diagnosed with cancer, that shut off metastasis. And shutting off metastasis is job number one, because if you have cancer and the tumor is suspended, it's not growing, and the cancer is not spreading in the rest of your body, you could probably sit and wait for the rest of your life and watch that tumor. We saw that in the dogs at the Keto Pet Sanctuary. There were several dogs at Keto Pet Sanctuary that their owners wanted to have them put down. The veterinarian knew about the Keto Pet Sanctuary, contacted the people at Keto Pet, said, this guy wants to put his dog down. He's got this solid tumor here. He's got this, he's got that. And Keto Pet took him, did all the same stuff they do for people with cancer therapy. And those tumors either completely shrunk and went away, or in some cases they didn't shrink and they stopped growing. They were in suspended animation. They were just stayed the same. And at the same time, by keeping the dogs in some sort of caloric deficit and keeping them in ketosis, and they didn't starve. These dogs were fine. In fact, they were more lively and energetic than they had ever been before. But they were actually able to live for years with the cancer that was going to have them put to sleep 2 years earlier. So we know that the ketogenic diet, ketones, and a slight caloric restriction is magic when you're treating when you're treating cancer. No matter what you're treating it with, it only helps. Now, I did a show probably 7 years ago where they used the ketogenic diet in combination with chemotherapy. And what the two important things that they found out in that study, and it was a study over the course of like 5 years. And what they found out in that study was two things that were important. Number one, being in ketosis before having chemotherapy and during chemotherapy protected the healthy cells from being damaged, because we're talking about DNA damage. Chemotherapy damages your DNA. So if you have healthy cells and the DNA is damaged 5, 6, 7 years from then, you could start developing a new disease that had nothing to do with the cancer, but was triggered by the treatment. They found out that removing sugar from the diet, having people in ketosis, when they underwent chemotherapy, the chemo didn't destroy them as much. They didn't feel horrible. And on top of that, the healthy cells weren't damaged to a greater degree than if they hadn't had chemotherapy. The other thing they found out was the people who were given the chemotherapy and the ketogenic diet in ketosis, who continued to go home, because not everybody did, but stayed on the ketogenic diet, their cancer never returned. The people who went home and just said, oh, my cancer's gone, my doctor said I'm fine, now I'm going to just go back and eat the crap way I ate before, their cancer came back. So we know that the being in ketosis can protect you from the horrible damages from chemotherapy, but also can staying in that zone. And again, you don't have to be in 2 millimoles. It's just being in ketosis. And what we're learning is, mTOR turns on, mTOR turns off. AMPK turns on, AMPK turns off. It's a rhythm. So you didn't have to stay in deep ketosis for the rest of your life, but you had to have periods of time where your body was using ketones and periods of times where it wasn't. But you couldn't eat sugar and stuff like that. But the people who did go back and eat the crap they ate before, their cancer came back. So that's very powerful information taken together with this study, shows that it works for a variety of cancers, including hormone-dependent cancers, which are thought to be, it's thought that if you have a hormone-dependent cancer, the only way to beat it is to crush the hormone for the rest of your life. Poor women, poor men too, they go through ADT, androgen deprivation therapy. They may live another 10 years. Their lives suck for 10 years. They're horrible. They have no energy, no libido, their brain fog, they get big fat bellies because they become spontaneously diabetic. And with women too, their bone mineral drops, they end up with osteoporosis, they lose muscle mass, they have hot flashes, just like horrible menopause. They feel horrible, but they have no choice, they're told, because this is the only way we keep your cancer from coming back. Maybe not. Maybe the reality is that if we get them on a ketogenic diet, they undergo their hormone therapy. And then when the hormone therapy is over, we just say, now, look, you need to start eating this way all the time. You stay away from the breads and the starches and the sugars. You can have them in rare occasions in small amounts. We know from people who go on the ketogenic diet to control brain tumors that they can't eat sugar anymore. If they do, the brain tumor just starts to grow right away. And that's why, of course, the brain gets priority. The brain sees sugar. It's like, no, that's mine. F the muscles. That's me. Send it to me. But these women could undergo their normal hormone blockade therapy and then live on a low-carb lifestyle for the rest of their lives and never see their cancer return. Now, obviously, more research needs to be done. But if I was diagnosed with cancer or somebody I love was diagnosed with breast cancer, I would tell them immediately they have to go into ketosis. They have to get on a ketogenic diet. I'd even use ketone esters in the early stages to promote the presence of ketones in their blood while they're becoming adapted. The interesting thing about this study was that the reduction in insulin, leptin, and IGF levels remained low for extended periods after they were on this fasting mimicking diet, which means that the second you stop eating that way, you don't immediately return back to the metabolic derangement. It takes a little time, again, for you to derange yourself. That's very promising. The thing I find most fascinating is one of the doctors, Dr. Longo, said, I like to call this non-toxic wild card for cancer treatment. And that's the big thing here. Anything you can do that's non-toxic, because chemotherapy is toxic. It is poison. And it's administered in such a way, in such a fashion, that it doesn't kill you, but it kills the cancer. But it almost kills you. Ask anybody who's undergone chemotherapy. When they have their chemotherapy for the next 2, 3, 4 days, they can't do anything. They have been poisoned. If you went out to a restaurant and ate a meal and went home and vomited up your guts and laid in bed for the next 4 days, people would say, oh my God, you got food poisoning. It's poison. And that's what happens to a lot of people who undergo chemotherapy. They get their chemo, they go home, they vomit up. That's why they introduce cannabis to help them not vomit. They lose their appetite. They lay in bed for 3 or 4 days. They can't do anything. And then also autoimmune issues spring up. We're learning this more and more. People undergo chemotherapy because it does something to the gut. The gut is the immune system. Inflammation is the army of the immune system. A lot of them end up getting rid of the cancer, but now all of a sudden they have rheumatoid arthritis. So anything that's non-toxic that can treat cancer is wonderful. Now, I'm not suggesting that people abandon the rescue attempt of chemo. If you have an advanced cancer that has a prognosis of you living 2 or 3 weeks or even 2 or 3 months, I say get the chemo, but get into ketosis first. Get the chemo, stay in ketosis for the long haul, beat the cancer, and then enjoy your life with a slightly modified diet. But this is very promising to me because mainstream medicine is just starting to understand the value of nutrition as a therapeutic modality for treating diseases. And granted, it's taken them a decade to, come up to speed to where we all are, right? In this audience. Okay. But at least they're starting to recognize it. I find that very, very promising. So there you go. I'll post a link to the study in today's show in case you know anybody that you love who's dealing with breast cancer or any kind of cancer. Absolutely, ketogenic diet, ketosis, and ketones are your friend. They are your ally. They are your partner in fighting cancer. And even if you go for the traditional modalities of treatment for cancer, do it and do the ketogenic diet too. And again, don't forget, you don't have to be afraid of protein. We think that leucine turns into sugar. It doesn't. Gluconeogenesis is a very, very metabolically expensive process. Now, glutamine can feed some cancer cells. So if you have a cancer that is that glutamine or some of the other amino acids, I'm trying to think of the other one, methionine, can live on. There's some cancers that they prefer glutamine or methionine as their food source. Now you do have to cut protein out. You do. But again, excuse me, diet as a cure. The medical orthodoxy is starting to figure it out. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow with more Superhuman Radio. Please share the show. Thanks for listening today.